All right, everyone, welcome to Styx. We have got ourselves a 4v4 on the TESTULOUS server right now. In the Blue Trunks ANS team, we have Chibi, Sir Poopit, Goodnut, and Kalmia. Over here in the Orange Trunks for the OSP team. Oop, we're getting into the game right now. We had Vren. I'll cover the rest of the names in a moment once we're done looking at this deploy screen. Flowing in the Rum River Corvette here as it drops into the lovely purple nebulous space around Styx, the old little asteroid field in the middle of nowhere. We get to the teams and the builds as we can see them. Right, so, loving that new UI look. We have on the orange team, we got Vren, Vastal, Puppy from Hell, and Espresso. I'm going to say it. So, let's take a look over here. Kalmia coming in with 1 and 2 450, toting broadside, spewing 450 Axfords. Said 450 twice, but you know what? We take those. Let's take a look. Are these track correlated? Seeing a spyglass ammo elevators on one, checking the other one. Do we see spyglass ammo elevators? No, parallax on this one. So going for a closer quarters combat than the kind of 11-kilometer gaming you sometimes see. Take a look. Sir Poopit has a beam frontside battleship, 2 beam turrets on this thing with a backpack ball jammer by the looks of it. It's going to be a nasty thing if it gets within 5 kilometers of the enemy. Chibi coming in with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frigates. These are... Ooh, that is a nasty number of size 3 missiles on these. It's a bunch of hybrids in the banks for these. Interesting, going to see how these are dispersed across the field here, looking for a couple of missile strikes that they're going for on multiple different avenues rather than a single blob. And lastly, we've got Goodnut coming in here with looks like 6 sprinters and then 2 frigates. These sprinters are featuring VLS-2s on some of them. Others have been paired up with Mark 62s. We were just talking about this in the call earlier. Nice little combo there where you can get jamming and gunfire off of one and then a missile strike off of the other. They're able to combine their PD and be very effective there. See 1, 2, and then 3 groups of these dispersed around the map. And then lastly, looks like they're rounding it out with a VLS-2 and a spyglass frigate, I do believe. Interesting little investments to the scout here. Typically, you see a spyglass frigate just off to the side, but people have started putting a little bit more money into them now with some missile strike capabilities. Nice to see that. Scouting container going out here towards the E point area. Nothing to see quite there. That container was fired from Espresso's container liner, who's currently pushing its butt into the rock here. Puppy from Hell coming in with 10 shuttles dispersed around the map. These have rocket launchers and jammers. Yeah, it looks like they're running them in pairs as well, kind of similar to how we saw those corvettes being run. So nice to see little 2-ship tandem pairings getting dispersed around the map. These will be very annoying if they are able to kind of get a avenue into the enemy backline. Take a water look around the space right now as more containers are being fired off towards the C point. Both teams have secured their natural right now. ANS taking the A point in the blue and OSP taking the B point in the orange. Those containers are now dispersing in various directions, possibly looking for enemy PD fire or trying to hunt down anything that is out in the open. These are semi-active homing containers, so it looks like mostly just going to be dummies, going for that cheap blank missile, just try and scout out the enemy here. So far, looks like both teams kind of setting up. Not too much going on here. Take a look at the inside of the container liner. All right, let's have a little look-see. What do we have in here? Container bank launchers, strike planning centers, data link arrays, DC complex, lockers, intel center. Interesting little internals. A little different than what you would see on main branch here. Also actually has a radar, so nice to see that. Quite a few missiles there. That's quite the number of missiles, actually. High investment CLN, indeed. Yep, all right, so a couple of missiles kind of coming out here. Seeing a command wake validated hybrid going towards that C point here as they are popping chaff. Vastal's little scout ships here. Let's go through these fleets. Got a 1, 2. So he's got a pair of clippers kind of scattered around here. All right, so the shuttles here on the C point do manage to cap it in time, although they are going to eat a lot of fire. That is going to be the second cap for OSP this game. Rocket containers dispersed out towards the D point side. Not sure where those are heading. Can't quite see their missile pathing at this time. Taking a look around the map. E point, OSP has set themselves up to go on it. We see Vastal running around here, has some container stack launcher on the backside and the C65 on the front side of these 450 spewing Axfords. So that's some of the direct firepower here. Lost one of our spectators there, but tons of investment into that. Yeah, so Espresso over here, CLN here has got actually a lot more DC than you would typically see on one of these things. Many times people like to go very greedy with them and taking only minimal investment, say a rabbit or two. So this has a bit of forgiveness in the form that you can take a hit or two and manage to recover from it. So we will see if that becomes relevant this game or if it is a misinvestment of points. Time will tell. ANS kind of relegating themselves to the upper side of the map right now. They've got one little flanking pair from Goodnut going down below there. Looks like they're mostly grouping together around their centerpiece, which would be this battleship, and the 450 Axfords kind of standing by. OSP has gotten that C point, like we said earlier, so they're going to be leveraging that advantage. It's now on for ANS to secure themselves a second cap, and OSP is going to start being ready to pounce on any light asset sent to use that. Let's go through the rest of the fleets here. Vren has a plasma liner down here, seeing those broadside C81 plasmas with T20 backups, so nice to see that little can opener package there that will allow a bunch of the other ships in the OSP's fleet to kind of take on the larger threats, would normally not be viable targets against them. Armor being very good at dispersing 100 mil rounds and sometimes rockets as well, depending on volume of fire. All right, we're seeing a couple more little size 1 missiles going out here, trying to intercept some of these scouting containers. That is exactly what they are here for, trying to find the enemy formations and assess what kind of PD they have, possibly deplete them of their AMMs or point defense ammo. 8-point scout going off here now as another AMM flies out. Now, this container is not actually a threat right now, as it has no viable tracking. It's just going to eat a bunch of that ammo there and also cause them to disperse chaff. So, nice little way to tax your enemy's resources there. D point is going to go underway, as is being capped right now by Goodnut's Corvette pair. That said, there is 2 pairs of shuttles kicking around nearby who are going to now quickly move into engagement positions. Goodnut is going to blow right past the D point here, possibly expecting this move, as he's now going to be maneuvering around the rock, trying to find himself in a favorable engagement at this time. Take a little look around as we see some actual container strikes going out here now, facing towards that D point. Espresso managing to tuck themselves into a nice little corner here. I love seeing this layout of the container liner, since you can put the belly towards the rock and then be a very effective missile silo with exposing minimal amount of yourself. So let's see these containers go off here, as there's not too much going on in the game right now. We see the lyrebird jammers, or learbirds. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce that, but the bird jammers either way starting to jam now. You see those containers being counter-jammed in turn by the pair of corvettes here that are going onto the point. Let's just take one quick look and see if there's anything else in the battle space right now. C point uncontested at the moment. Couple of the offside assets. There's dispersed missile frigates starting to rain down a couple of their hybrids. Let's see, lyrebird. Thank you, Doug Ribdis. Wonderful. Doug has over so nicely allowed me to guest cast on this one, so he might show up on his channel or not. You never know when the Catboy is going to appear. Anyways, those 4 shuttles have tucked themselves under a rock now, as the corvettes are splitting up, one of them flying off into the upper area of the map, while the other one's lingering behind a little bit closer here. We're going to see how this engagement plays out. There is no T-20 guns on these little rocket shuttles. Instead is just rocket, jam, and pinpoint lock. So they are going to lack a little bit of the kind of like sandbagging efforts typically seen with the 120 HE and grape shot. Still, they can be quite devastating if they are able to land their rocket strike. That is a lot of shuttle caked up around the C point here. We are seeing a trifecta down below here from Vastal and Puppy. Actually, wait, hang on a second. Okay, so Vastal's got 1 in the middle, and then Puppy has a pair there. And then up above, we're going to see Vastal with another pair up top by the C point. Yeah, just a lot of shuttles on display here. This is the kind of environment where you would love to have something like a 250 CL just hunting for all of these small light ships. However, in this case, ANS has elected to use their combination of corvette pairings and also a bunch of missile strike frigates to try and thin out the numbers. Missiles on the CLN. Let's take a look now where that CLN is. Seeing a couple of missiles being fired off here. I do not believe that these will have line of sight. No, looks like they are just fired direct and will instead impact into the rock. Rock is, in fact, still the best PE in the game, even though occasionally you will sometimes see it get a little funky, especially with the tactical reference points. Sometimes you can guide your containers just around the rock and catch somebody by surprise, or with good pathing. Anyways, E point has been secured by the OSP, seeing that there is nothing threatening it right now. They're starting to disperse and look to hunt down some more of the ANS assets. ANS really needs to get onto the points sooner or later, as the OSP has gotten themselves a 3-1 lead here. Zealand has a whole stack of grazers. Probably safer. Hang on a second. What? This thing has grazers on it? Oh my god, 3 grazers on this. This is a very nervous container player who has been counter-missiled one too many times and is deciding absolutely none of that. Thank you very much. Rocket containers now being launched out, as they are just going to snake around this rock, looking for who sent those hybrids towards them. See more channels being programmed here. Mixed missile salvo coming out. See where these rocket containers go. Unfortunately, cannot see their pathing direction. We'll look more about that later. ANS dispersing a lot of their assets around the outside of the map, trying to find some of the enemy's forces here. Their spyglasses should be able to determine where they are. As you can see, many of these ships do in fact have spyglass. Let me just confirm and make sure that Chibi's stuff does. No, they've just got frontline by the looks of it. Anyways, big missile strike coming out down below as rockets and such come out to play. We see some of these size 2 missiles here finding one of the OSP ships, where you might possibly see the first hits here. You just barely missed that command. Not quite good enough with just frontline track. You might need a lock to make sure that those do in fact hit. rocket containers and mixed salvos screaming by here, going after active decoys or chaff cloud. Now we see some grape shot flying in as the OSP's combat formation. We didn't cover Vren's fleet here, but we have the plasma and then some of these C-90 T-30s spewing monitors, kind of a nice little escort asset, able to also punch against some things of lighter tonnage. But still, that big bombshell spewing C-90 can do some damage against some of the larger hulls. Yeah, they're coming to bear on these corvettes who really need to get the hell out of here right now as the entire OSP arsenal is being brought onto them. There's no other immediate pressing threats, so we will most likely see these 2 corvettes cleaned up in due time. Yeah, you can see all that grape shot flying in now. That is what you hate to see. It is very effective at sandbagging your ships. You see the main thruster has gone down here, making this thing only able to limp away slowly with its maneuvering thrusters. Some plasma for good measure, just sending the kitchen sink at this stage. See a couple missiles being fired out here. Desperate AMM attempt. Going to see these 2 corvettes go down shortly. Let's take a look around the battle space now. D point, C point, and E point, the sort of mid-section of this map, typically divided into the 3 lanes surrounding those points, all of them going into the hands of the OSP. That said, C point has now been capped by is being capped rather by the ANS right now. OSP heavy units are right back. Looks like fight will kick off on their half. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of tonnage being dedicated to kind of the lower half of the map here by the OSP versus the upper half of the map kind of dominated by the ANS right now. They're electing to make their play onto the C point here, moving up their battleship and their Axfords. Going to try and get that high ground, relatively speaking, and then shoot down. See just all of these jamming circles going off here. Rocket Strike is out onto the C point. Couple of good hits here. Yeah, trimming the entire front side of the Snake River. That is a very, very great damage control board. This thing is not long for the world. It's Companion 2 eating a whole bunch of rockets here. That's the nasty close quarters you don't want to see against the OSP. So they will manage to get the C-cap here, although it is going to be recaptured. That said, Beam has something to say about that as the turret manages to track onto the target now. And yeah, that is a very cooked shuttle. This thing about to go down as that battle short is held. We're going to see if they can adjust their beam to the other one and then deny the recap here. So that will put the OSP with a 1-point lead. We're seeing some more missiles flying out here now. These command wake validated hybrids going off into the depths below, hunting around for any of these shuttles that they can possibly get. So a couple of the light assets have been trimmed out on both sides here. We're going to see a couple more of these exchanges throughout the game. That said, the front line is starting to develop now as ANS has said C point is ours and we are going to hold it. Let's see, Puppy killed by beams. Oh, the irony. Indeed, dark indeed. All right, let's take a look now at the bottom of the map. That container liner decided that maybe it's a little bit too exposed if OSP is not able to push its front line up to cover it. It's going to be now rotating back to the relative safety of the bottom of the map. We see now ANS just absolutely dominating the upper hemisphere, not having anything really below the horizontal plane line here. We've got the Bob Dylan, and that is going to be it. So they're just going for that kind of high atmosphere advantage. Versus on the lower side of the map, if we flip it over for perspective, you can see just OSP dominating this sphere. So the map has currently been split. That said, D point and E point kind of lying towards the lower side of the map, so slight advantage in the home territory there. We're going to see how it plays out in regards to cover. Some more of these hybrids going out here against some of the early warning tugs scattered on the side of the map, as well as some long-range 450 fire coming in here. So do these have double gun plotting or singular? Seeing only one gun plotting center here, so the accuracy at this range may suffer a little bit as a tug is a fairly small target. Size 3 scores ahead with Wake Secondary, but sadly did basically nothing. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Speaking of Size 3 hybrids, we're seeing some AMMs being shed from these early warning tugs. These are corkscrewing, flying straight and true, finding their way home, knocking out that Bloodhound. There is one restore left. However, we're going to see if this ship is able to get its restore off or not. That's a lot of 450 flying down here. You do not want to be caught by these Axfords at closer quarters. They are luckily still able to evade some of the shots at this range, but yeah, front of this thing is rapidly going down. If that small restore goes, this thing will be without its Bloodhound, which is the main point of this tug. Taking a look around the battle space, you see plenty of jammers. I call them cones, although they're more spheres now that I think about it here. I guess that buff work. Screening gems doing work disrupting AMMs. Yes. Nice to see some of the tech pieces being showcased here on test server. Let's take a little look-see around. So C point firmly in the hands of ANS right now. The very wounded corvette that could manage to limp its way off point. It has its reinforced CIC, thankfully surviving that big rocket strike, as well as a small DC locker in the mag there. Got a... not anything offensive left, I don't believe. I'm not sure if... I'm pretty sure those are AMMs, so no arming missile on this, unfortunately. So it will not be able to contest a cap. However, it still holds the C point, so that's all they need right now. 450 Axfords are pushing over the high ground of the map, trying to kind of sit in orbit here. The Dusty Attenborough over here from Vastal starting to exchange a couple of rounds with those 450 Axfords. Looks like their T-20s are out of range on whatever track they're currently firing at. That said, those 450s are cycling right now, getting ready for a big attack. Some more of those scouting containers being fired against the Axfords up here, testing their point defense network, possibly trying to make them pop chaff. Some more hybrids coming out here. Love to see the display of missiles we get here. We got a bunch of small missiles, a bunch of big missiles. Anyone else see if the Tug's blue cone? Yeah, I believe that's a visual bug. Even when it's knocked out, it still has the fire order, which means that it sometimes lingers here. So that'll get bug fixed at some point, I'm certain. Anyways, seeing some of these command strike missiles being fired off against a track of sorts. Not sure what those are going after there. Yeah, it happens with early warnings as well. Just some of the quirks of the game. Anyways, rocket strike happening over here on the D point. We're going to see how good the point defense is here. Defenders shredding through a couple of those, able to just barely evade those, missing by a few meters there as they're nimbly dodging their way off of the point here. D point almost capped there, but they had to quickly turn to evasive motion. Now more rockets being fired in turn. Only one Axwood has chaff decoy. Ooh, that could be interesting. We'll take a note of that. Actually see refiring clears it. Yep. Anyways, rocket strike coming out here. Again, these ones are closer. Some of them finding their way home. That is a very screwed Corvette here. Whiplash drive goes down, immobilizing a VLS as well. So you have to choose mobility or the missile launcher. The reactor does stay alive, so this thing is able to keep itself in the game. Now more rocket strikes coming out here as this Corvette pair is jumped on by these faster shuttles. They are just coming in and trying to slam some rockets home. That said, ooh, one good hit knocks out the main engine here. The drive is still technically operational, but is going to be having a bad time as this thing is only able to slowly limp away. More rockets for their trouble following them in. Let's take a look around the battle space, see what else develops. Beam destroyer, or rather beam battleship hanging out here, just warding off anything from taking the C point. OSP no longer has targeting radar. That is correct. OSP is lacking now in the long-range accuracy department. Going to have to rely on their shuttles and other lighter forward-facing assets to give them those locks that they want to get their 450 guns onto target. So, see how that develops on that side. D point here, fairly hotly contested. We're seeing two of these Corvettes most likely going to go down once they get hit by a follow-up shot here. Rockets on these ones. I believe they still have some in the banks. Let's take a look. No, that one has used up all of its missiles, and this one has still 10 rockets in the cell, so it can punch out any ship on the D point here. Let's see if this ship is, in fact, on the D point. It looks like it's just barely outside, so that's going to really suck when they are attempting to recap. Anyways, a couple of missiles for their trouble now as Chibi's bringing the rain here. Those hybrids going directly towards those targets. We will see if the command hybrid is good or not in this case. Sometimes the track error can mess you up like we saw earlier. Speaking of some more missiles, we got the container strike coming from down below. A couple of these scouting frigates have been identified, and there is rain coming towards them in the form of containers. Rocket strike here now going up against Goodnuts Ventura over here as a defender in arc, although unfortunately, ooh, bit of a tasking error there as it tries to target some of the missiles going by it. Unfortunately, going to see the drive and reactor go down. That is a dead ship here. Wop, wop. However, it does take one of them with them as the dual moist from Puppy of Hell goes down here in a cloud of smoke. So, seeing a lot of small ship fire exchange across the map. Dusty Attenborough contributing a little bit of its light caliber guns here against these wounded ships. That's the cleanup you want to see with those nice little 100 mil shots. There's some more of these containers kind of flying off here. They're estimating approximately the location that those missile salvo frigates are located at. On the other side of the map, we have got the 450 pair going across the stratosphere here, starting to descend down into the depths, looking for anything they can hit. For in this little formation, we've got Vren coming to bear here. This is the plasma ship, which unfortunately is just not quite in range, I don't believe. It's a little hard to read the verticality on this situation, but once those Axers drop down trying to pursue more threats, it should be in position to jump them and strip off of their armor. Some more rocket containers coming out here. So Espresso really delivering a whole bunch of missiles here. I believe that they've expended, let me do a quick count here, not quite half their payload, but they put a sizable dent in some of their banks. Let's just take a little visual look. A little bit dark on Styx, but you can still see they've gone through about maybe a third of their missiles here. You see those Piranha rockets firing off now. A couple of them going into that Sprinter. That is going to spell disaster. Boom goes the dynamite. That Whiplash drive going to cook off in 2 minutes. Nothing can be done about that. Ship graveyard rapidly forming around the D point here and the C point as well. Goes to show that these light assets can be clobbered quite easily with some missiles if they are able to strike true. A couple of those size 3 hybrids now going down, looking at Vren's monitors down here that have started contributing a little bit of fire high up. Oh, we're seeing some bombshell, and I believe that's the 100 mil maybe entering range now. All right, let's see these missile strikes. Do they strike true? Wham! Right into the topside turret there, taking that out. Magazine takes a better part of a hit there. Reinforcer is able to survive. Berthing naturally goes down as is squishy as all hell. Still, could have been worse. Could have seen a direct strike right into the CIC and reactor and whatnot, so a little bit lucky there, all things considered. Vren now wisely deciding that discretion is the better part of valor in finding their way under a rock as the 450 turns and starts throwing their shells this way. Ooh, that is nasty. Also, side note, lovely little Canada decal. I myself am Canadian, and I salute that. Let's take a look over here now. Sir Poopit with the beam battleship, although it got a couple of kills earlier on the sea point, has not quite engaged, just kind of anchoring between these 2 points here, looking for anyone that wants to come and play. That said, OSP has managed to take the A point thanks to all of these shuttles in the backfield here. There's just so much stuff on the battle space here for ANS to have to deal with. They have missiles to possibly clean up, but look at the number of ships that OSP has brought here, just the sheer number of shuttles that you have to contend with and all the various tracks and whatnot. For Blacklight taking it in the teeth on behalf of the rest of the team. Ooh, let's see. Which one is the Black Light here? Didn't identify that ship name, but I will take your word for it. Oops, that's good enough. Okay. We're talking about names and stuff here. I thought there was a ship named Black Light. Fair enough. Anyways, 450 flying down here towards Sir John Moore. Seeing a couple of them striking true. Looks like most of those just deflected off, maybe hitting the top radar there. So nice to see that these shots are missing the better part of the internals, because monitors can very quickly go down under concentrated fire. Made that mistake during AR. Well, we can't keep track of whose name is what in this game anyways. Everyone keeps changing them up, but hey, that is fun. Anyways, over on D point, we see that reactor bloom finally cook off here as it just briefly illuminates the area. Love that little miniaturized supernova. Anyways, all the same, yeah, we can wear many faces and many names in this chat. All right, let's take a look over here. We're seeing some missiles staging off now, going towards these shuttles. Oh, unfortunately, it looks like they cook off early. I do believe that the jamming there may have set those off early. That was a active seeker, so they have just veered off and detonated. Nice to see that little stage distance being punished by, I believe it's the 4-kilometer range of the Lyrebird. Indeed. Let's see, down here, they have early warning track, which is keeping these Axfords straight and honest, so they are not able to hide under a rock and then cause any ambush. That said, OSP is having to rotate around the map right now. They are securing the C point now as the beam battleship is elected to move its way towards D. This is heading quickly towards a 5 cap for the OSP, and at only 1,000 points. This is just a... I'm going to just call this a misplay on ANS side. They have not defended their points properly. They have dispersed far too much around the map and have not been able to hold on to any of their holdings. This 5 cap is going to quickly spell defeat for them if they are not able to do something about it and fast. As we see now, they've managed to migrate almost all of their forces onto the OSP side of the map originally. B point was the OSP's natural, and now just the ANS has done a full rotation, and OSP is perfectly happy to take that exchange. They're able to get on the points. More rockets kind of going off there. Battleship flicks on its jammers as it takes a little bit of fire from the Alexandria Newcock, I believe, down here. Those 450 are going to fly straight and true. Let's see how many good hits they get. Ooh, a couple grape shots here as well. Looks like this thing has eaten a little bit of armor damage there, so I don't believe that those are going to get through. That said, the bottom side beam has been taken out here, so that's half of this thing's firepower neutralized for the moment. Nice way to strip the armor there, indeed. I do like to see that little combo there. Where commonly you will see plasma paired up with the 100 mil. You can actually strip off a little bit of the armor using either 250 or 450. It just takes significantly longer. But to the internals as well, like the workshop going down will limit the ability to repair. A couple of missiles out now for good measure, just trying to see if they can punish any of that. Does this ship have missiles on it, actually? Where are those coming from? Hang on a second. Am I blind? I don't believe I'm blind. No, I don't see a VLS there. All right, so either way, missile strike has been launched here. I swear that these are launching from this. Is there a VLS on this? It does have a canter launcher. That's where they're coming from, right on the nose, right under my nose. I was gotten hit by 12 rocket containers. The next level will do more indeed. All right, so we see now some missiles fired in return. These hybrids are going to fly straight into the nose here, taking out the magazine. Ooh, that is a big crippling blow. That is exactly what you wanted to heck be in this situation. That's going to silence the guns. That said, Goodnut is out of the fight now. They have thrown in the towel there. So that is going to spell bad news bears for them. A couple of missiles kind of going around the place now. Yeah, OSP has just thoroughly pulled ahead thanks to their cap advantage. ANS was able to secure 1 cap and then 2, but they just could not hold on to their holdings. Take a look around the map now. So yeah, just a lot of dispersed forces right now. OSP just not giving ANS the frontline fight that they've really wanted. Those 450 Axemen have been able to fire a couple shots, and the beam battleship was able to clean up 1 or 2 targets. But instead, they just said, hey, you don't have nearly enough stuff to hold your points. We're just going to back cap all of your things. Yeah, with that 4-1 lead, we're going to see the game rapidly tick down now in terms of timer. I do kind of wish as a quality of life feature we'd see a little timer here showing how soon they will win. But maybe another day. Anyways, another missile hit going to find its way home here, knocking out the C-65 for the moment. Not fully not fully graying it out, meaning this had to be a HEI, not a HECB. Still, the ship is unable to fire a shot in anger at the moment. Battleship taking a couple of hits on the snoot here. Berthing on the top does go down, but you don't need that anyways. Still, most of this game is going to be won on the back of just the more stuffed approach from OSP, exploiting any weakness that the ANS shows without them having the necessary tools to defend their points, be it the 250 CLs or the beam destroyers. I do like seeing the tech pieces we got here. Goodnut coming in with the very dispersed number of... I'm almost trying to call them light cruisers. I need to slow down and think for a second. Yeah, the dispersed corvettes. Anyways, let's take a brief moment to table that thought. Ooh, that is a rocket strike and a half across the front of that battleship. It is not having a good time. Yeah, look at all of that molten metal there now opened up for 100 mil shots to find their way home. And liner spamming grape against armored target. Nobody's loading the other ammo today. You know what? I say just let them. HEHC can do work, so can grape. In this case, now we're seeing just all of the 450 shots whizzing by the nose of this thing, so not the most accurate shots on a good day, but at the same time, they are able to put some hurt in when they have that good Bloodhound lock. I believe that they may just be firing off of a Huntress at this time. Need to take a look around the battle space, see what is their nearest lock. Possibly this shuttle. I believe that this shuttle, no, it does not have a reactor, so it cannot be providing lock. What is giving them their gun plotting right now? Let's find out. Take a look at the modules section. That's ammo elevators, rapid cycles. A little hard to read this UI at a glance sometimes, but hey, fair enough. Some more missiles coming out to play here. Let's see where these are headed. If I had to guess, these are going to go towards a battleship. Chibi deciding to also throw in the towel here. Bren is combining HHC after plasma. Yep, we'll take a look at that side. Oop, instead, nope, is going to be ANS throwing in the towel, realizing the cap situation is a little bit not in their favor.
Anyway, hi.
Righto then, and that is going to be the game. We'll take a look at the post-game screen here, just show what we got. So yeah, OSP just never giving the ANS the frontline fight that they wanted with their Battleship and Axford duo. Anyways, folks, that has been the Nekoboy recording. Gonna pass this one back over to Darg in a minute. Thanks for coming out to see this. Just a little impromptu casting night, but yeah.